Previously on MarkWattTech. The second feature I'd like to see added in 2022 is the ability to create groups. Using the user interface. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. So creating groups using the user interface is now finally possible, and if you happen to be watching this video close to the time that it went out, then this feature is currently only accessible through the beta, but it will be a full-fledged feature in update 2022.4, and if you happen to be from the future watching the video, then let me know what you think of Groups UI in the comments below. And just to note there, this is currently in beta, so it is subject to change, and this could all be totally different by the time that the full release comes out. But if it is different, then I'll probably be covering that in another video anyway, because this feature is wicked. Prior to update 2022.4, the only way to make use of groups was to set them up and create them directly through YAML. But for newer users or people that don't really like to dabble with YAML, this may have been a bit off-putting and they may have been a bit unsure of what to do, and this could have led to them potentially missing out on a very powerful and very useful feature. But miss out no more. You'll now be able to create your groups directly through the user interface without having to mess around with any config or to write any YAML. So let's jump straight into this and find out exactly what groups are and how we go about using them. To create a group, you've got two different routes that you can go down in order to get into the group creation menu, and I guess it all kind of depends on how your HomeAssistant brain's wired up. So let's have a look at those two methods now. The first one would be to go into Devices and Services. From here, you can choose Add Integration in the bottom right. Then if you simply start typing group, you'll see that the option comes up for group helper, so you could just select that here. And once you select that, it will pop up a little confirmation box asking you if you want to set up a group, and from here you could just choose OK. The second option would be to directly go to the helpers, which is where groups are located, and you do this by going into automations and scenes. Then along the top you want to choose helpers, and then in the bottom right corner you want to press add helper. In this pop-up for helper, you'll now notice that there's lots of different helpers that you can make use of, but for now we're just concentrating on group. So in the menu here I can see group, so I'm just going to select that. You'll then be presented with a list of all the various different group types that you can make use of. At the time of recording this, there's currently 7 different group types available. A group allows you to create a brand new entity, and that entity represents multiple different entities, all of the same type. A great example of a group is a chandelier. You might have a chandelier in your front room that's got multiple different smart bulbs in, and rather than having to address each bulb manually, you can just create a group that will then use one entity in order to control all 3 of those separate bulbs. Using our chandelier example, we could then control this new chandelier group entity, and any change that we made to this new entity, like turning the power on and off, changing the colour or the temperature, that would then reflect on each of the bulbs that are in the chandelier. Make sense? Well, if it doesn't, then don't worry, because we're actually going to just carry on rolling with the chandelier example. Let's do that now with creating a light group. To create our group, we're going to need to set the base type. So in our example of the chandelier is going to be a light group. So in the list here, we're just going to select light group. After we do that, we just need to give the group a name, and then we can assign any members to the group. So go ahead and give your group a name, and then start adding members to it. If you select the entity drop down here, it's going to present you with a list of all the entities that are compatible with the group type that you selected. In my case here, it showed me all of the different light entities that are available in my HomeAssistant instance, so I'm just going to pick a couple that are available here in my demo unit. Once you're happy with your member selection, you'll have 2 options. You'll have the option for hide members, and you'll also have submit. For now, we're just going to go ahead and click submit, and we can see that we successfully created our group for chandelier. In our helper list, we can now see our new group entity for the chandelier, and if we select this, we can see all of the normal options that you'd get for an entity, like setting the name, setting the icon, setting the entity ID, and also the area. But you'll now notice that we have this new option for configuring the state. But before we have a look at configuring the state, let's just quickly have a look at the controls that we have available for our new group entity. So in the top right there, we're going to just select controls. And from here, we can see that we've got the chandelier and we've got an option for turning it on and off, and also the brightness. And that's just because this is a group for lights. So let's turn that on. And obviously you can't see this, but all of the lights that are in that group have now turned on. And from here, I could then adjust the brightness, and this is going to affect all the options that are in that group. And again, I can change the color and also the temperature here. Let's just turn that off, and we're going to head back and have a look at setting the state. Back in the settings then, if we choose the option to configure state, That will take us into another options menu, and in this menu we can adjust and modify any of the members that are currently assigned to the group, so we could remove them or we could change them for other ones, or if you wanted to you could also add more in. There's also a toggle switch for hiding members and a toggle for all entities. The hide a members toggle does exactly that. It will hide away any of the entities for any of the members that you've currently got listed in the group, and this can be useful if you want to just tidy up the UI a bit, or if you never want to represent that group as anything else other than the new entity, and you never want to reference it by the individual ones. We've then got this handy toggle for all entities, and what this one allows us to do is to set the group state based on whether one or all of its members are currently turned on. By default this is turned off, and the default behavior allows the group to turn on if any of its members get turned on, and if you set this all entities to be on, all of the members of the group have to be turned on in order for the group state to change. So we've now got this super convenient way of creating a brand new entity that represents and controls a bunch of entities of the same type, and as it is an entity, you can make use of it as you normally would in your scenes, scripts and automations. And there we go guys, that's been a quick look at the new method for setting up and creating groups using the user interface. I personally would have liked it if groups had its own section next to helpers up at the top that was a dedicated area for actually creating and viewing any of your groups, but that's just me. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to drop me a like, and if you're not already, hit that subscribe button and ding dong the notification bell. You'll then be alerted to any future video that I do. And as always, a massive thank you to these awesome dudes. These awesome dudes are my Patreons. If you're interested in helping support my channel, which in turn allows me to create content like this, then you'll find a link to my Patreon in the description below. Also, I'm now on Discord, so if you are one of those Discord guys, then you'll find a link to the Discord also in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.